Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at this really interesting period, roughly 1200 to 1450,
Hmm.
and specifically how all the increased connections across Afro-Eurasia, the trade routes and all that, started causing some, well, pretty big environmental changes.
Yeah, the sources you sent over really highlight that. It wasn't just goods moving on the Silk Roads or across the Indian Ocean.
Right? Crops, people, and unfortunately diseases too.
Exactly. And our kind of mission here is to unpack those consequences because they hit everything, population, farming, even, public health in a way.
Okay, let's start with the crops then. That seems like maybe a more positive place to begin.
Well, often, yes. The
Yeah.
movement of plants was huge. Think about bananas reaching Africa.
They weren't originally from Africa.
No, Southeast Asia. They traveled across the Indian Ocean trade network.
Oh.
And they absolutely thrived in parts of sub-Saharan Africa in the rainforests there. Perfect climate.
So what did that mean for people? Just like more fruit?
More than that, it diversified diets, definitely, which supported population growth in those areas.
Okay.
But it also, and this is fascinating, it allowed Bantu-speaking peoples to migrate.
How so?
Well, their staple crop was often yams, which didn't grow everywhere. Bananas could grow in new places, these rainforest zones, opening up territory for settlement.
So a single crop changes migration patterns. That's significant.
It really is. And you see a similar, maybe even bigger impact with champa rice in East Asia.
Ah, yes, the Vietnamese rice, right? The super rice?
Kind of. It came from the Champa Kingdom, modern Vietnam, to China. And its big advantages were drought resistance
Yeah.
and the fact you could get multiple harvests per year, not just one.
Which means way more food.
Exactly. Leading directly to a population explosion is probably the right term for China during that time.
Yeah.
More reliable food, bigger population, simple equation, massive result.
And we also had citrus fruits moving around, like oranges.
Oranges, limes, yeah. They came into Europe mostly via the Mediterranean.
Introduced by...
Muslim traders were key in bringing them across. They spread through Europe, North Africa.
And the impact there. I guess more vitamins, better health.
Likely, yes, especially in places with, long winters or less varied diets. It adds crucial nutrients, probably help people live a bit healthier, maybe longer.
So, okay, connectivity boosts agriculture, helps populations grow in some spots. But there's always a but, isn't there?
There usually is. The dark side of all of this connection was disease.
Right. The same routes moving rice and bananas also moved pathogens.
Precisely. And the most infamous example from this era is, of course, the bubonic plague, the Black Death.
Which spread partly because trade was actually kind of booming.
Sort of, yeah. The Mongol Empire gets mentioned a lot here.
How do they fit in?
Well, the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol peace, created this vast zone of relative safety across Eurasia. Great for trade, merchants felt safer.
But bad for pandemics.
An unintended consequence, absolutely. It made it easier for things to spread rapidly over long distances. The plague seems to have broken out in northern China around 1331.
And then just followed the trade routes.
Pretty much directly. You could almost trace it along the Silk Roads, across the Indian Ocean network, hitting major trading hubs and cities one after another.
A correlation is that clear.
It's remarkably clear, yes. Ports, caravan cities, they were hit hard and fast.
And the death toll was just immense.
Staggering. Estimates vary, of course, but you're looking at maybe a third of the population dying in the Middle East, and potentially up to half, maybe even more, in some parts of Europe.
Half the population. It's hard to even comprehend that scale.
It reshaped societies completely. Labor shortages, social upheaval, huge long-term effects.
So bringing it together, this era shows interconnectedness as this like double-edged sword. You get Champa rice boosting populations, and you get the Black Death devastating them, both traveling the same paths.
Exactly. It really underscores how tangled up human societies and the environment are. Our connections, our movements, they have these profound consequences, good and bad.
So the big takeaway here is that intensifying global links, even back then, had massive, complex environmental impacts, affecting everything from your dinner plate to, well, your chances of survival.
That sums it up pretty well. A more integrated world brought both incredible opportunities and terrifying risks.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Looking at our world now, so much more connected, faster. What parallels can you draw? How quickly can innovations or indeed threats spread today compared to the 14th century? Something for you to ponder. Thanks for this deep dive.